Hi guys. What day of the week is it? Thursday. It's been a weird week. It's been a long week, kind of a short week in other cases. Took Tuesday off. We had family still in town, so spent some time with them after, Monday being Christmas. So I took Sunday and Tuesday off. But hope you had a wonderful Christmas. We're back. We are hopping into something new. I've created some of these before. These are called Hexis, and I have some things that I've already prepped out because I've done them in the past, but we're going to kind of start from scratch. So I found a hexagon just shape. Um, I think I did a Google search. I printed them out. I traced them out onto, I think it's from a box of crackers, probably Triscuits, if I had to guess. Um, and then these become my templates. So I'm using a different background just to kind of, there's a lot of busyness going on with the fabric. So I thought, we'll try something different. Um, but these are my templates. They are 1 inch, 1.5 inch, 2 inch, 2.5 inch, and 3 inch. I don't know why I said 1.5 and 2.5. Spice of life. Um, you can buy them as plastic templates and they might last longer. These were free. And I keep them in a Ziploc. I keep them usually with a pencil so that that's my pencil for tracing. So I always have a pencil. And what you want to do, which I'm not going to do on camera because it takes up a ton of, they're just weird. You want to keep your Girl Scout cookie boxes, your cracker boxes, your cereal boxes, all of those like thin cardboard. And then you can trace whatever size you want. Um, my go-to size is this 1.5 inch, and so that's what pretty much all of mine are. Um, you'll find certain boxes are a little bit thicker and some are a little bit thinner. I mentioned Girl Scout cookies because it's like the perfect thickness for me, but I don't have a million of those boxes. But this Ziploc is different cardboard pieces that I have traced and then cut out. Um, and I've used them. So you can see the holes in them from where you sew the fabric, you tack the fabric down. But if you don't like overly bend them, you can use them multiple times. And there is nothing wrong with that. So that kind of saves you from cutting out 500 million boxes. You can use the same ones several times. Once they kind of lose their shape, or like where you're sewing your holes, if it rips, kind of gets a little bit trickier. But so far, it for me, it's more that I've bent it in weird shapes, and I like it doesn't hold its shape very well anymore because it's just overly bent. So sorry, I had to cough. Okay, so that's the part that I'm not going to do on camera, is cutting out all of these template pieces, but you can do any one of these sizes. Obviously the 3 inch is going to be a bigger hexie, so your overall project might go a little bit faster because your hexies are bigger. If you wanted to go with the super small one, best of luck to you. It will look so amazing and awesome, but you will be spending a lifetime on that project. Um, I'm I like more of a petite design, so I went with the 1.5. This just was a little too small for me. The thing that we're going to do today is just kind of make these individual, I have a few, um, these individual hexies. I have random ones that just don't match anything. Oh, those two might be the same. They're from the same fabric. So I have a handful. Oh, I have a couple of those blue ones. But if you want to do a flower like these guys, you need 6 of one color and then a center. It can be coordinating, it can be contrasting. I have some duplicates. And I usually do these in stages. Quite honestly, I used to have like a big basket. I just always kind of worked on it. It was very therapeutic for me. So My husband saw the container come out tonight. He's like, what is happening? I thought that we were done with this. Why is this coming back out?" I'm like, "No, no, no. It's just for the live stream." Like it's not making a comeback into like the living room and taking over. Um, so I have some like I do have a couple um that are from the same fabric, but like this one's really sweet and like small prints work really well. This one has a metallic gold polka dot on it. It's very fine print. So you can kind of see it a little bit better. Um, some of them are a little bit better than others. Um, as far as prints go, just different patterns. But I really liked this small print because you could see what it was. But you can play around with what's going to be shown on the Hexi when you cut out the fabric. So let's put these guys off to the side. I have this one red one, and that's what I've been keeping all my needles in. I couldn't tell you what these needles are. I would wager they are chenille, just because like that eye is pretty big, but the one that I will end up using is probably going to be this guy, and he looks almost like a crewel needle because the eye is pretty small. It's got a really good point to it, but it's also pretty sturdy. It's not very thin and flimsy. So like these other ones, this far left one is very thin. It's very flimsy. It's going to be hard to get through that cardboard. So I do have my needle puller out, and then on some of my scissors, I do have a thimble that I'll put on if it gets too tricky or too, not tricky, but too tough to push it through the cardboard. But you don't want a flimsy needle. So those needles that come in like there's just a bunch of them and you don't know what size they are. They're just kind of like craft needles. They're usually pretty thin, they're usually pretty flimsy. They're not going to be your friend. Don't use them for this unless they are sturdy needles. And you want to make sure you have a good, a sharp point. So anything like a tapestry needle, also not your friend. No, so just say no. So that's probably what I'm going to use for the sewing portion of just getting them tacked down. So getting the fabric into the shape around um, not our template, but our pieces that I already set aside. Okay, so let's set these guys off to the side. Like I said, you can use any size. You can even go bigger than 3 inches. Typically, the smaller the size, the more you can get out of your scrap fabric. Hexis kind of came about from back in the day. Fabric was a little bit more scarce. It also was an expense, and so they would take men's dress shirts or just old clothing in general, and they would, once it was worn out in other places, they would use the fabric that was still good in other parts of the clothing, and they would turn it into hexes, and not necessarily making flowers, but turning them into quilts or whatever kind of a fabric they needed. Very labor intensive, and I don't know if they use templates or not, but okay. So I'm using one of my just cardboard pieces as kind of a template, not to repeat myself. And I have these scraps from a project that I trimmed down. So I'm not going to use the blue portion. You totally could if you wanted to have, a little bit of this blue, but that's just more fabric that I'd have to go through. So pass. And then I'm taking bigger scissors. They are just Scotch brand. They have a titanium blade, but they're just a good large scissor. You can use anything because we're going to do like a 1/4 inch ish. It doesn't have to be perfect. The idea is that you have enough that you can fold it over the edge. So when we sew it, we're going to sew it down, and then the next one gets folded down. So it's going to get, you need to have enough that you can sew it, you can pin it or tack it, but not so much that it's super bulky and you won't be able to get the cardboard out, but not so little that it just frays and comes undone. So we're going to cut a few out. super, like I said, it was very therapeutic to just kind of work on these. I never had a solid project as to what I was going to do. I had some ideas. Since my darling little dog decided several months ago to, uh, I don't know, defeat my pincushion, I'm gonna make a pincushion. I came across a couple different, there's several different patterns, um, but the one I think I'm gonna go with to start is gonna be pretty small. It's just going to be 8 hexes, I think. Um, so essentially, like one of these plus one more, and that one more is the backside to this, and all of these hexes get folded in half. So it'll be pretty petite. It's a good little like travel pin cushion. It could be really good depending on how full you fill it to use in lieu of like our drizzle pad that we use for some of our stitches. So you don't stab yourself or your thigh. You could use that pin cushion in lieu of a drizzle pad. So options. Normally I would try and get like as many out of this as possible, but I've been working with it a little bit already and 3 is like my max. So on like a bigger piece that's not a strip, I try and just use the angles to kind of line up the next piece. I don't know, that probably didn't make any sense. Let's see if I have something other than strips. I do already have a bunch of these cut out, so I'm not going to cut out too many. But I just kind of wanted to show you how I normally go about cutting them. Oh, the blue little flowers. I love this one. Okay, so it's like this giant piece of fabric. I feel like I'm just going to cut out this square, kind of give you along the fold lines to give you a better idea of how I would, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is all scrap fabric. I got it for like a scrappy quilt and then had a lot left over. And so when I was pulling fabrics to like make hexes, I didn't necessarily have a whole ton of like scrap fabric, but this was definitely left over from that project. So I was like, yeah, sure, that's a scrap. Why not? Okay, so kind of tricky because there's some weird folds in here. So let's try this. So I always try and like use one of these straight lines, whether it's this or up here. Doesn't really matter. We'll go with this one. It's kind of a fun puzzle. So I'm gonna come in it's kind of hard to see with my hand. My hand is in the way. And then we'll take some of these lines. So we can either take like this line that follows over here, and then we can take this one as well, right? Because this line right here should line up for both cutting out on this spot and down here. It's the beauty of a hexie. When I first started this, I really wanted to make like a bowl, but hexies do really well at flat surfaces. So I would have to like sew it all into like a piece of fabric that's flat and then treat that as its own fabric, essentially like one piece, and like add in I don't know, like folds to it. And I was like, then you kind of lose the beauty of the hexies, and I just think they're really fun. So I kind of just kept making hexies for no purpose because it's kind of fun, kind of addicting, not gonna lie. It looks so labor intensive, and it is to like all of the steps to get prepped for it, but I feel like each step is exciting and getting closer to the final product, if that makes any sense at all. Okay. I'm gonna do a few more because I really like these flowers and I don't think I have any underneath my bag. Oh, I do have a bunch, never mind. This is my Ziploc bag of different hexes that I've already cut out. So I'll kind of dig through there and find the ones that I want to sew together for a pincushion, I guess. I'm not really sure. So that's kind of how I cut them out. It is hand cutting, right? Like you're not using a rotary, you're not using, I would suggest the bigger blades. I think it goes a lot faster, but you can use something smaller. You could use kids' scissors. And it doesn't have to be perfect at all. It's just enough, right? Like it just needs to be enough that you can fold over. Um, and I guess work with it, move. I don't know. These. The other tip I will say is for sewing them down. I use sewing machine thread, and I would say don't use super cheap thread because it might break. But you don't need to go all out and spend like super industrial strength. Like if it's pretty thin, that's good. Because like this middle piece, I've already taken out the cardboard because I've sewn it. I've already attached it to all of its surrounding pieces. So it doesn't need to have the cardboard in there. Once you take it out, there's nothing keeping this straight edge straight unless it's attached to something, if it's sewn to something along that edge. So you can either attach it to a piece of fabric and you just kind of sew it down all the way around, or you add more hexes to it. Either way, you have to be really, really careful about when you take it out. So if you're going to sew it down to something like this, I would say take it out right before you start, or like you get one side down and you can like lift it up and take this piece out. And then you can use the crease that you have still and sew it down, and then take this one out and sew the three sides, and then take this one out. So you're doing it immediately so you don't lose that crease line. That's going to be, I think, one of our, probably not this color choice, but one of our pin cushions. The second one will be this. So it'll just be sewing a flower onto the top. Another one will just be, I think, random hexes. And then you trim it down to make the shape of the pin cushion that you want. The first one I'm really excited about. I haven't ever made one quite like this, but I've seen pictures of it and I'm like, I can do that. we'll see how it goes. Okay. I'm going to put this guy back. I have a separate Ziploc for, oh, I guess I have used them. I was going to say the ones I haven't sewn into. Oh, they're not folded. This one has holes in it, but it's not folded in half. Okay, I don't know. I have Ziplocs for different different portions of this. So I'm just gonna grab a handful, have them off to the side. That's like way more than I needed, but that's okay. Handful, I did say a handful. I have the rest of this, it's just a Coats and Clark's all-purpose. It should be strong enough. It's plain old white, so I'm going to go with fabrics that are kind of more contrasting to this so that you can kind of see this a little bit better as I'm sewing it. Maybe, kind of, sort of. We'll see. But first, let's get some of these maybe put away a little bit better. I don't know why I have a weird tickle in my throat. I don't want it. I really like these blues. I think they're very sweet. I've clearly done one with the coral center, so I feel like I should do something different, but maybe we'll just do, no, I have a ton of this purple. Let's use some of the purple. Let's work our way into that stack. And I could do the blue as the center, but they're not very exciting, are they? That's okay. I'm gonna do purple and green. That could be kind of fun. Like this little swirl. That's fun. Let's do that. I should have gotten out two. So I'm gonna do the same on the front and the back. So I need two for the top and then one for the bottom. Okay. I don't think I have any of those up here. Already made, nope, okay. So these obviously have a right and a wrong side. So we want to make sure that when we sew it down, the right side is facing out. So we are going to pinch over and hide essentially the wrong side. Batiks are a little bit trickier. They technically have a right and a wrong side, but they're harder to distinguish. And this is where, like, this is a fairly large pattern. So you don't get a whole lot of variation in each piece because they're cut fairly small. Like this one would be kind of fun because it has just a little bit more dynamic coloring. But like this one's pretty bland. It's got some, right? But it just doesn't have a whole ton. So let's get our needle with some thread. Put all my little scissors away. That seemed silly. There we go. I don't think I'm going to use all this thread tonight, but someday we'll get there. You don't need to double up your thread either. It is technically just a basting stitch to get it attached. This feels weird. I do not normally thread my needle right-handed. That was weird. So I'm not going to be super picky with which pieces I use for this. If it were something, I don't know, I might actually care like which ones I'm using for colors and like wanting a really fun centerpiece. Like this one, I think I used the center of a flower from this batik. And on this one, I wanted kind of the little like dash marks from the pattern. It wasn't in all of the pieces, and I really wanted that to kind of reflect in each of the petals. So sometimes you can kind of play around with that part, but not necessary. I don't remember which side. It probably doesn't matter, but oh, I think I started in the middle. So you go in each of the corner, or I did. So I started in this middle portion. It's been a hot minute. That doesn't seem right. Maybe. Yeah, that feels about right. Okay. So you're gonna fold over. So you come up in the middle so that you kind of have that tack down. I held the thread down to kind of also hold the fabric in place so that I could then fold over this next piece. So you'll come up in the middle. fold it, and then go down in the corner. So the idea in the corner is that you're catching both sides of that fold or of that fabric in the fold. The other thing I can totally see that I'm doing, I'm twisting the hexie as I fold fabric in. So just kind of be mindful that you want it to stay flat. So I might be kind of SOL on this one, but you get a rhythm down, I promise. So going down in the corner. And the reason for, so I have seen, actually I think my mom gave me paper hexies that you can use, but I don't know if they would be sturdy enough for me. Like I feel like I manhandle them. And I think the paper wouldn't be sturdy enough. She also gave them to me and they are bigger than what I've been working with, so I haven't used them. But I think she gave me different sizes. Oh, that's not a hexie. That's a, what is that, 5? Pentagon? Yeah, pentagon, hexagon. Yeah, so she gave me these ones that are, they're just bigger than what I'm working with. Oh, there's triangles in here too. So that's what she gave me, and then I've been using that size. So they're different in size, but they've obviously been used, and it's just a cardstock instead of the like thin cardboard. I don't have a whole ton of cardstock on hand, but we eat cereal and we eat crackers. So, you know, there was a period of time where I would just kind of keep that kind of stuff. I don't know why. Like we were going through the cardboard faster than I was able to cut things out, but I also definitely had my favorite types of cardboard. Different products had different thicknesses, so you know. Okay, so we're getting to the last corner. I'm going to use my needle to tuck under the fabric so that they all are folding in the same direction. It's not necessary, I just think it's a little bit cleaner. It makes me and my slight OCD a little bit happier. But like I said, it's not necessary. We have one. So that's how you sew a hexie. That's not true. That's how you baste a hexie. We haven't actually sewn them to anything. So let's get a few more under our belt. I probably didn't need 3. 2 is plenty. Okay. So I use the tension from the string to keep this fabric folded down so that I can then more easily fold over this first corner. All the while making sure I don't twist the hexie on top of the fabric. So just kind of keeping it taut but not bent. Just, you know, the first couple ones I was like, this can't be right. And like, honestly, you get into a rhythm after a while and you just kind of like sit, watch Twitch, TV, or whatever, the news. And you get into a rhythm and next thing you know it, you've got a bunch. I think my least favorite part of it, but it's also one of the most rewarding parts, is having to cut out all of the hexies. Like, it kills my hand. But At the end of the day, I then have the templates to sew a bunch more Hexis, right? So it's exciting, but it's also like, I don't want to cut anymore. um, and that's why I was like, I'm not going to show that part because like getting a giant cereal box showing you how to cut out cardboard, like I'm positive that you guys all know how to do that. I feel confident in your cutting skills because you're just following the straight line that you traced over and over again. Okay, just a few more on this guy. I'm excited to kind of show you guys how I sew them together. I did not get out a thread that I think will hide very well behind the purple. Um, so I think in a lot of these, like this one, I use like a burgundy thread to stitch it all together. But you can't, I guess if you're really looking for it, you can kind of see the burgundy on the green. But it kind of just disappears. Oh yeah, that's a blue. I might have to go get some purple thread apparently from my stash. Not a huge deal. I just grabbed the white because we're almost there, or almost out of it, but so ooh, we're getting there. One little hexie at a time. Okay, oh, I need a knot. I always feel like this would be, if you don't have like kids in tow, like sitting at the DMV, or if you have to go to the Social Security office or the post office for a passport, or right, like one of those places where you just, doctor's office, I guess, could also work. Again, if you don't have kids in tow, if you have kids in tow, please be mindful of your children. Okay. Just being careful to not twist my hexie. Nope, I keep twisting it. Um, and it's gonna make that final side really, really tiny if I let it get twisted. The more even it is, the easier it is to work with when you're sewing them all together. Oh, I'm a little ahead of myself. Happy holidays. Hey, Dorothy Z. How was your Christmas? Hopefully lots of fun. Ouch. Okay. Almost halfway there with our little pincushion. I feel like I should skip to, like I've shown you how to do a few, we should just get the next step going, like just grab one of the flowers I've already made, but it was okay. Kiddos had a blast there with her dad till the first. All right. And then back to school. It's It's a lot. It takes so much energy out of you. That's kind of, I took Tuesday off because I was like, I get that Christmas is over, but I am still exhausted. I also wasn't 100% sure what we were going to work on. I had a couple different ideas, but it kept coming back to like Christmas and Valentine's. I'm like, I'm ready to be done with Christmas ornaments. Like that, I'm good. We can move on, but I'm not quite ready for Valentine's. Like, let's pause. Let's do something not holiday related. I'm like, I need a pincushion. So here we are. Back on the second for them. I don't start till the 8th. Ooh, nice. I get to leave 2 hours early tomorrow. Does that count? I don't get a break. What? At least not from work. But you guys are a good break. This is always a good little break from the daily grind. Sit and sew, chat with people. Okay. All right. Oh, I twisted it. Dang it. Oh well. It'll still work. I got out my polyfill. Okay, so 10-pound box of polyfill. um, I put some in a Tupperware container, and then the rest of it got packaged back up in its plastic bag. I tried to like squish out as much of the air as possible so it would fit back in its box. Um, I didn't grab any rice to put in the bottom of this pincushion. I think as far as like a traveling pincushion goes, I don't know. This guy is kind of my, oh, you can't even see it. This is kind of my traveling pincushion, and I really like it. It has a heavy base because it's glass, right? And it's flat. So I feel like having rice in a small pincushion would maybe be beneficial to kind of keep it in place. But I am not sure because then it would also add weight to like your project bag or whatever you're traveling with. And like that pincushion, that's how I got it. It was a door prize. Um, and then I've since acquired more to make some myself. Um, that's not true. My mom acquired the pieces to make more and then gave them to me so that I could make them. Um, I'm not super familiar with the stitch they did on the top. It's in my one of my stitch books. I've just never done it. So the stitch pattern, I know they used a variegated thread, um, and I have lots. I'm guessing the size isn't as like an 8 or a 5 would be fine. I don't think I would go like 12 or 3, but pearl cotton, variegated. I could do something with like a metallic in it, like the dazzle thread, but I feel like for durability, just a cotton would be best. I have no idea who actually made it, so I can't pick their brain. And all they did was glue it into the bottom, and it never dried like clear. It's a white glue, so like I can see it on the bottom, but one of these days, I don't think that's enough to fully go around. So, but this is one of them. I think it's super cute. So before you glue it in, you just have a felted ball. And then you do some stitches on top. And it doesn't necessarily need to be like that pattern. It could be, some lazy daisies or flower or whatever. But then all of the knots are essentially on the bottom side, and then that's what you glue in. You don't want it, I guess, super completely filled with glue. This one like kind of comes out a little bit, but I don't know. my dish has a little chip in it, but it's filled with wool, so you don't notice. But yeah, so that's kind of, that might be our next project, or we might do our Valentine's. I want to do a heart garland for Valentine's. So I'm hoping that it'll be kind of simple, straightforward hearts, but we'll see. Okay. In the meantime, or until then, I'm kind of in this like felt mood because it was so easy to work with, but I don't really have any felt colors that are like reds, pinks, and purples at all. So I need thread. So I think we're gonna revisit the wool. And I think the wool will be really pretty as well. I've got some fun, I think some fun fabrics that would be, not fabrics, fun wool that will work really well for the garland. Just kind of have to finalize the pattern, and like I said, I wanted to break from jumping from one holiday to the next. I think Christmas is a big one, and it's nice to have a break afterwards. I don't really have anything that's specifically like New Year's related. Otherwise, I would have been like, yeah, let's do these, I don't know, champagne glasses. A little cozy for your champagne glass. No, I don't. Oh, although you could do those cute little like, they're kind of like a name tag for your drink. Also a coaster, if you know you don't want glass banging on whatever surface you put your glasses on. Um, but it's like a little enclosed coaster that just kind of folds over the bottom of like wine glasses or champagne glasses, and you can add different stitches to them. I've never made them. I have seen them. Could be fun. Okay. I think we have 4. I did that backwards. Sure did. Uh, just skipping over that corner. Didn't want to. Okay, so we have 4 made up. We gotta do 2 more of these purple guys. If I can thread the needle. Okay, try again. Through the corner. Ouch. There we go. Okay. This is definitely a thicker cardboard. It's got just a little bit more resistance to it, but that's okay. I was grabbing them at random, and now I feel like I'm going to be a little bit more selective in what I grab from my pile, since it's not like I'm making them for the therapeutic purposes tonight. We're making them so that we can make a little pincushion. This one will definitely be the smallest, but I'm also kind of excited for how it will turn out. I think it'll be cute. I really liked the concept behind it, because it doesn't really, the only part that looks like a hexie is this center part. The rest of them are folded in half, kind of ish, I guess is the best way to describe it. I'm not 100% certain on assembly, but it's going to be great. Nope. I really want this one. Ooh, this guy's thin. The cardboard pieces. Okay. Lovely to work with as far as poking needles through. Okay. I can't seem to grasp the thread. There we go. Trying to think through like my purples. I think I have like a lavender. It's going to be a little bit lighter, and I don't think it's going to be like the perfect color match. But I don't know if I have one that's going to be any closer. We'll see. So you kind of get into a rhythm. I think at least I do. I also am not like a huge watch a new TV show kind of person. If I do, I have to be like, okay, I need to pay attention. But for most things that are on our TV, I don't. I don't need to be invested. But I do like to sit and relax and be around other people. So that's for me. I could listen to what's going on and like kind of look up periodically, but keep my hands busy. Because if my hands are not busy with something sewing or craft related, then I'm either on my phone, which kind of sort of bugs me. I don't need to be on my phone all that often, all that much. Or I'm eating. And that also kind of bugs me because I don't need to fill my face full of food just because my hands need something to do. So this has been a really good outlet. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we have our purples. We have 2 greens to go. Of course, I chose green, and 2 of which that I don't have any already made. That's okay. I also, if you can't tell already, I do them all kind of in batches. So I traced a bunch of the cardboard, I cut out a bunch of the cardboard. I didn't just do like a couple pieces. Like I didn't do a hexie from start to finish, right? Like I didn't cut out a piece of cardboard and then cut out the fabric and then sew the fabric down, right? Like I cut out a bunch. Obviously, I've used them. And then I have my Ziploc full of different fabrics that I've cut out, different little scraps, if you will. And now the fun part of sewing or basting the fabric to the cardboard. Um, right, like that's kind of what this pile is. I used to just have like tons of stacks, and I finally was like, nope, I'm gonna sew them into flowers. I don't know what the flowers will be. We'll probably use one and just kind of sew it down to another piece of fabric and, oh dang it, turn that into a pincushion. The rest of the pincushions are like the assembly portion of it. Like once you get it sewn onto a background, it's going to go a lot faster for me just to do it on a sewing machine, and I don't have a great setup to show you how to do that on my live stream. So we're starting with this one because I can do the whole thing from start to finish by hand. I could technically do the other one, I think, by hand. It just would take a while. And Seems very inefficient with my time as I hand sew Hexies. We're talking about the inefficiencies of my time. Maybe not the right time. Okay. I wish I could find, I created this like, it was almost the size of my background, but it was all, like it was kind of this variant. Um, it went from dark gray to white because I had a lot of gray and white fabrics, and so I kind of just, I don't know, laid them out in a way that they kind of randomly pieced together, but I don't know where I put it. I don't have a reason to like need it right this second because I didn't know what I was doing with it before. I just don't know where it went. It's probably in like a project bag or something. That seems like a reasonable thought. I just haven't come across it lately, so my brain's kind of curious where it went. Okay. One down. Sure. Okay. Oh. It would help if I knotted it. Oh no, not like that. There you go. Okay. Try again. Round two. I will say that this is easier to do with longer nails, but I just filed mine down. They are short because your nail can kind of pinch the fabric and hold it in place. But oh well. Best laid plans. I cannot for the life of me do long nails. My nails are so flimsy to begin with, and I normally get them done, but with just the hectic season of all the holidays and people in town and everything going on, I was like, nope, I don't I don't have time to drive there and then sit there. I'm just gonna like stressfully think through all of the things that I haven't gotten done yet. So I will not and will revisit in the new year. So they've seen better days right now because I need to repaint them, but doing pretty good overall. Okay, short little guy here. Okay. All right. Last knot. Okay, I'm gonna go grab some purple thread. I'll be right back.